First of all, what did you expect was going to happen to her? Number one, I don't think it's jealousy. Oh my God, she's getting all the endorsements. We're going to go after her. You're playing at the highest level. You're playing in the WNBA. You're coming from college and you're going to the pro ranks, right? What did she expect was going to happen? Why are people so shocked, right? You're playing against grown women. The same thing happened to us as rookies, right?
Caitlin Clark didn't come into the WNBA quietly. She arrived like a storm, breaking records, drawing sellout crowds, and becoming the face of women's basketball almost overnight. But with that spotlight came an avalanche of criticism, flagrant, fouls, and locker room whispers that went beyond competitive fire. They veered into something far more toxic. And while many stayed silent or offered vague PR-safe support, one NBA legend wasn't having it. Reggie Miller, a Hall of Famer, Indiana Pacers icon, and no stranger to controversy himself, just stepped into the chaos with a statement so powerful, so raw, it sent shockwaves through both leagues. He didn't hold back. He didn't sugarcoat. And what he said? It's got fans talking, players rethinking, and the WNBA scrambling for damage control. This wasn't just about basketball. It was about culture, jealousy, media spin, and protecting the next generation of athletes. If you thought the WNBA bullying drama had peaked, think again. Reggie Miller just torched the narrative and, in doing so, may have changed everything. What exactly did he say? And why did it hit so hard? Stick around, because the truth behind his words is deeper than anyone expected. And it starts with one name, Caitlin Clark.
It's nothing personal, right? It's just the level between college. First of all, you go from high school, and it's a learning curve when you go to college. And then from college, when you go to the highest level, it's going to be a learning curve. There's only so many rookies that's ever been successful, right?
Reggie Miller isn't just another former player with a microphone. He's a symbol of what it means to thrive under pressure, to feed off boos, and to turn public doubt into personal fuel. During his career with the Indiana Pacers, Miller made a name for himself as a clutch performer and relentless trash talker. He was never the strongest, never the flashiest, but he was fearless. And that fearlessness earned him both admiration and a long list of enemies on and off the court. So when Reggie sees Caitlin Clark being dragged by fellow players, dismissed by analysts, or targeted during games, it hits home. He's seen that script before, he lived it. The difference, when Miller was the league's villain, it was mostly fans and rival cities who hated him. Caitlin is getting it from her own league teammates, veterans, and even broadcasters who seem more interested in humbling her than celebrating her historic rise. In a recent interview, Reggie didn't dance around the issue. He called it out for what it was: insecurity, plain and simple. According to him, the treatment Clark has received isn't just rookie hazing, it's resentment disguised as competition. He pointed to the hard fouls, the blatant non-calls from referees, and the smirks from opposing benches as symptoms of a deeper problem. When someone shines that bright, it makes the insecure even more bitter, he said bluntly. That statement alone hit a nerve across the basketball world. And Miller didn't stop there. He defended Clark's composure, her ability to keep her head down and play through the chaos. He praised her for never retaliating, never clapping back at critics, and letting her game do the talking. That takes more maturity than people give her credit for, he said. She's not the problem. The people trying to silence her this wasn't just a soundbite, was a full-on torching of the league's current attitude toward its most bankable star, and fans noticed. Social media lit up with support. Clips of Miller's comments went viral. Hashtags like #ProtectCaitlin and #Reggie started trending. People were finally saying what they had been thinking for weeks. Why is a rookie being made the villain for bringing millions of eyes to the sport? Reggie's words carried weight, not just because of who he is, but because of where he's coming from. Indiana. Caitlin Clark is now playing for the Fever, the same state where Miller became a legend. He's not just defending a rising star, he's protecting a legacy. And in doing so, he's putting the WNBA on notice. The days of brushing off this treatment as just part of the game might be over. But Miller's interview wasn't just about calling out others, it was about exposing the culture that made this behavior acceptable in the first place. And the next part of that culture It's even uglier.
For everyone to say, oh my God, what's good? I feel so bad. I feel so bad?
Yeah.
These are grown women. This is the
They're professionals.
They're professionals. Let them play.
Yeah.
There's an unspoken tension in the WNBA that's finally being exposed, and Reggie Miller's comments ripped the lid off it. At the heart of this tension is jealousy. Not just the kind that fuels competition, but the kind that poisons locker rooms and sidelines. Caitlin Clark didn't just show up as another rookie. She arrived with endorsement deals, sold-out arenas, and more fanfare than many veterans have seen in their entire careers. And for some players, that's been hard to swallow. Reggie didn't name names, but he didn't have to. He pointed directly at what he called a culture problem within the league. He referenced veteran players who were supposed to mentor younger talent, but instead have chosen to ice her out. "You've got players who've been grinding for years and never got this attention," he said. "Now someone new shows up, and suddenly the cameras are always on her. That kind of spotlight creates friction, but it's not her fault." The jealousy isn't just emotional, it's physical. Clark has taken some of the hardest, most unnecessary hits of any rookie in recent memory. And what's worse is the silence that follows. No flagrant foul calls, no ejections, no public reprimands. Instead, there's a disturbing narrative being whispered online and on certain shows. She needs to earn her respect. But what does earning respect even mean in this context? She's already the NCAA's all-time leading scorer. She's brought more attention to women's basketball than any marketing campaign ever could. She's boosting TV ratings, selling jerseys, and filling arenas. Yet because she didn't come up through the WNBA's grind system, some veterans seem determined to make her pay a toll before accepting her. This isn't the first time sports have seen clash between generations. But what makes this different is how public it's become. Social media has made it impossible to hide. Every hard foul is clipped and replayed. Every snub is noticed. And now, with Reggie Miller publicly addressing the issue, fans are starting to see what's really happening behind the curtain. Reggie went further, saying, "Jealousy is a cancer in team sports. It doesn't just hurt the person you're targeting, it brings down the whole league." That line stuck, and he's right. The WNBA has a rare opportunity right now. For the first time in years, casual sports fans are tuning in. But if the message they're receiving is that the league eats its own young, those fans might not stick around. Caitlin Clark is the lightning rod, but she's not the problem. The problem is a league culture that punishes popularity instead of celebrating it, that tolerates hostility in the name of toughness. And if that doesn't change, the WNBA risks wasting the momentum that Clark helped create. What's worse is that some of the loudest critics aren't hiding behind tweets they're micked up on game day. And the next section reveals just how deep the on-court sabotage really goes. Reggie Miller's defense of Caitlin Clark didn't just shine a light on bad attitudes, it pulled back the curtain on what's actually happening between the lines. Fans aren't imagining it. Game after game, something feels off. And it's not just the hard fouls, it's the non-calls, the positioning, the screens, the little moments that scream sabotage to anyone paying attention. Caitlin isn't just facing normal rookie challenges, she's being singled out. And Reggie called it out clearly. They're not playing her, they're targeting her. In one recent game, Caitlin was hip-checked near the baseline with enough force to send her stumbling into the cameraman. No foul. No review. Moments later, the opposing player who committed the hit could be seen smirking. That kind of body language isn't about basketball, it's personal, and it's becoming a pattern. Reggie pointed out that this kind of treatment isn't a coincidence. He said it's deliberate, and it's being allowed by the people who should be preventing it, the referees. According to him, the league's silence is part of the problem. "You can't protect your stars only when it's convenient," he said. "You either set a standard or you don't." And the numbers back it up. Analysts have begun to point out that Caitlin draws fewer foul calls than almost any other high-ASOG guard in the league. Despite getting hit on drives, shoved on screens, and bumped off the ball, the whistles rarely come, and when they do, they're often late or unclear. That inconsistency isn't just frustrating, it's dangerous. It tells other players that they can get away with more, and it leaves Caitlin exposed. This is where the real sabotage lies, not just in the fouls that do happen, but in the ones that don't get punished. Reggie said it best. When the referees let it slide, they're saying it's okay to go after her. That's not basketball, that's a message. And that message is being received loud and clear across the league. Instead of matching Clark's skill with defense, some players have decided to test how much punishment she can take. And when the league doesn't step in, it emboldens them. It creates a climate where physicality becomes a cover for aggression, and where toughness becomes a mask for resentment. To be clear, Caitlin isn't asking for special treatment. She's shown time and again that she can take contact and dish it back when needed. But what she's facing isn't fair play, something else. And if a legend like Reggie Miller can see it from the broadcast booth, the question becomes, why isn't the league doing something about it? The longer this goes unchecked, the more dangerous it becomes, not just for Caitlin, but for the league's integrity. And while the referees are catching heat, there's another group that's fanning the flames even more: the media. And they're doing it in ways that are even more subtle. While the fouls and body checks happen on the court, the real character assassination plays out in a different era on television panels, in post-game commentary, and across social media times. And according to Reggie Miller, that's where some of the most damaging attacks on Caitlin Clark are happening. Not from players, not from refs, but from the very people who are supposed to provide fair analysis and context. The media. It started subtly. Words like overhyped, inexperienced, or cocky began circulating within days of Clark entering the league. At first, they were framed as harmless critiques, but over time, the language became more aggressive. Instead of celebrating her historic college run, media personalities questioned whether she was even WNBA ready. Some analysts mocked her defense. Others questioned her leadership. And even when she played well, the headlines often focused more on her mistakes than her highlights. Reggie Miller didn't mince words about this. He said plainly that much of the media is complicit in creating a hostile environment for Caitlin. When you question someone's worth every single game, you're not analyzing, you're undermining, he said, and he's right. The problem isn't that people have opinions. It's that they've made Clark the center of a narrative built around controversy, not performance. Think about it. Every time she gets fouled, the media debates whether she deserved it. Every time she draws a foul, someone suggests she's flopping. Every time a teammate doesn't pass her the ball, commentators speculate about locker room chemistry. And when another player goes out of their way to rough her up, some analysts chalk it up to veteran toughness or say she needs to earn her stripes. This constant second-guessing doesn't happen to every rookie. It's targeted, it's relentless, and it has real consequences. Not just for Clark's public image, but for how referees treat her, how teammates view her, and how fans interpret what they see on the court. Reggie pointed out that media narratives don't just reflect the game, they shape it. When broadcasters downplay what she's going through, they're telling viewers not to take it seriously, he said, and that message trickles down. Fans mimic it. Opposing players feed off it. Even league officials feel less urgency to intervene because the media isn't demanding accountability. And here's the kicker. Many of the same voices criticizing Clark today are the ones who praised her just months ago. It's a bait-and-switch strategy: build someone up for clicks, then tear them down for engagement. It's profitable, it's predictable, and it's toxic. What Reggie Miller understands, and what he's trying to warn the public about, is that this isn't just about one player. It's about a media culture that rewards tearing down young stars before they even have a chance to shine. And if it continues, Caitlin won't be the last victim. But there's one more layer to this that even the media won't touch: how coaches are silently contributing to the problem. And that's where things get really uncomfortable. While fans argue on social media and media personalities debate Caitlin Clark's every move, one group has remained noticeably quiet: WNBA coaches. And that silence, according to Reggie Miller, is anything but innocent. In fact, he believes it's part of the problem. Because when leaders say nothing, it sends a message that the bullying and targeting are not only tolerated, but perhaps even encouraged. Reggie knows coaching culture. He played under tough leaders, faced brutal playoff series, and understands how veteran teams operate. But what's happening in today's WNBA, he called it out as calculated neglect. Coaches see the hits, they see the shade from veteran players, they hear the crowd reactions. Yet when given the chance to speak up, they opt for vague answers or complete deflection. In recent post-game pressers, several coaches have been asked directly about the fouls Clark has endured. Their responses: shrugs, evasive statements, lines, like it's just physical basketball, or she'll have to adjust to the league. Not one has condemned the excessive contact. Not one has said, we need to protect all players, including rookies. That's not leadership. That's a cop-out. Even more telling are the subtle in-game decisions that expose the underlying tension. Coaches instruct their players to be extra physical with Clark, to fight over screens harder than usual, to body her up even off the ball. And when the refs don't call it, they keep doing it. There's no adjustment, no pullback, just quiet permission to keep pushing the line. Miller didn't point fingers at any single coach, but he made it clear that this type of institutional silence fosters a dangerous environment. The tone comes from the top, he said. If a coach isn't willing to protect a young player from unnecessary harm, then they're complicit. What's even more disturbing is that this silence isn't just passive, it may be strategic. Some coaches likely see Clark as a threat to the old guard. Her popularity, her style, her influence, it challenges the existing hierarchy. And the best way to control a rising star: break her early, shake her confidence, make her doubt whether she belongs. It's a tactic as old as sports itself. Weaponize silence to let others do the dirty work. Let players rough her up. Let fans turn against her. Let the media spin the narrative, all while maintaining a professional, hands-off image in front of the cameras. But Reggie isn't buying it. He knows real coaching means standing up for your players even. If they're not your players, it means speaking out when the game is being played unfairly. And it means recognizing that the long-term health of the league matters more than protecting egos or preserving old traditions. The question now is whether any coach will have the courage to step up and break this silence. Because the next section isn't about what's happening on the court, it's about how Caitlin is responding behind the scenes. And her reaction might be the most surprising twist of all. Through all the elbows, flagrant fouls, media jabs, and cold shoulders from veterans, Caitlin Clark has maintained one consistent response: silence. No tweets, no press conference rants, no cryptic Instagram posts. She shows up, plays, and walks off. And while some might interpret that as weakness or passivity, Reggie Miller sees it for what it really is: unshakable discipline. She's doing what pros do, he said, letting her game speak while everyone else scrambles for attention. That silence, ironically, has become her loudest message. In a league that thrives on narratives and noise, Caitlin's refusal to fan the flames has created a powerful contrast. While others fuel drama, she fuels comebacks. While veterans throw shade, she throws dimes. While broadcasters question her readiness, she quietly breaks rookie assist records. And fans are noticing. Clark's ability to stay composed under pressure is something even seasoned pros struggle with. She's being bumped, bodied, and benched in ways few rookies have faced it. She never retaliates. There are no on-court meltdowns, no sideline tantrums. She absorbs the hits, resets, and goes again. That kind of mental toughness is rare, and it's forcing people to rethink the narrative. Reggie Miller called her maturity next level. Coming from a man who once silenced Madison Square Garden with 8 points in 9 seconds, that praise means something. He knows what it takes to deal with hostile crowds and smear campaigns, and he sees that same steel in Caitlin Clark. You can't teach what she's showing, Reggie said. You either have it or you don't. But Caitlin's silence doesn't mean she's unaware. Those close to her say she hears it all. She sees the clips, she knows who's trying to take her down and who's just watching. But instead of reacting emotionally, she's channeling it. She's using every slight, every hit, every doubt as fuel. And that's exactly why she's so dangerous. Not just as a player, but as a cultural force. Her poise is beginning to shift the conversation. Fans who were on the fence are now fully in her corner. Casual viewers who tuned in out of curiosity are becoming loyal supporters. Even some of her early critics are reconsidering their stance. Why? Because in a league filled with noise, Clark's silence has become a kind of leadership, one that doesn't need validation, one that earns respect the hard way. Reggie predicted it perfectly. This girl's going to change everything. Not because she yells, but because she listens, she works, and she wins. And that's exactly what's happening. unapologetically. But the bigger question still looms: will the WNBA rise with her or try to pull her back down? Because as the league's tension builds, Caitlyn's rising star is forcing everyone to pick a side. And in the next section, the ripple effect of her presence is starting to reshape the entire league dynamic on and off the court. The WNBA is in a strange, uncomfortable place right now. On the surface, it's experiencing a surge of popularity it hasn't seen in decades, record-breaking ticket sales, viral highlights, sold-out arenas, and at the center of that whirlwind is a rookie. Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the league, she altered its orbit. The problem? Not everyone inside that orbit is happy about the shift. What Reggie Miller said, and what many are now admitting, is that Clark represents more than just a talented basketball player. She represents change, disruption, a break from the old system, and that's making certain people nervous. For years, the WNBA has struggled to capture mainstream attention. Now that it finally has it, some of the league's veterans and insiders seem unsure how to handle it, especially when the spotlight isn't equally distributed. Clark's arrival has exposed deep fractures within the league, generational divides, branding battles, and questions about who gets to define women's basketball. She didn't play by the unspoken rules. She didn't wait her turn. She brought her own fan base, her own style, and her own expectations. And in doing so, she inadvertently challenged the status quo. Reggie Miller called this moment a reckoning. He said the league is being forced to decide what it values, more tradition or transformation. Does it protect its veterans' pride? Or does it embrace the new wave that's finally putting the league on the map? Because it can't do both. And that tension is playing out in real time. Caitlin Clark's impact goes beyond highlight reels. She's changing how young girls see the game. She's influencing how the media talks about women's sports. She's forcing executives to rethink how the league markets itself. Every packed arena she walks into is a reminder that people care deeply, and they're not just watching for the game, they're watching for her. That kind of draw is rare, and leagues that fail to capitalize on it often regret it. Just ask the NBA what happened when they didn't fully embrace Allen Iverson's cultural movement until it was too late, or how long it took them to acknowledge the global impact of Yao Ming. Stars like Clark don't come around often. When they do, they either elevate the league or outgrow it. Reggie's warning was clear. You either build around stars like Caitlin, or you lose them. And when you lose them, you lose the audience they brought with them. So the league has a choice. It can continue to let jealousy and silence chip away at its most bankable star. Or it can lean in, support her, and grow alongside her. The fans have already chosen. The numbers don't lie. But what the league does next will determine whether this moment becomes a movement tour, a mist. Opportunity.N. In the final section, we explore the long-term legacy this moment could create, not just for Caitlin Clark, but for every future player who dares to challenge the system. Whether the WNBA realizes it or not, it's standing at a crossroads, and Caitlin Clark is the figure at the center of it. Every hard foul, every ignored whistle, every cold shoulder she receives is being logged. Not just by fans, but by the next generation of athletes watching from the sidelines. And those young players are paying attention. They're watching how the league treats a record-breaking, crowd-drawing rookie. They're watching how the veterans respond to change. They're watching to see if the WNBA is a league that uplifts talent or punishes it for being too popular too soon. Reggie Miller's recent comments weren't just an endorsement of Clark, they were a challenge to the league, a wake-up call, a reminder that this moment matters more than anyone wants to admit, because the way Caitlin is treated today will determine who feels welcome tomorrow. If the message is that success makes you a target, that popularity paints a bullseye on your back, then what kind of future are they building? Caitlin Clark is already setting records on the court, but the legacy she's building off the court may be even more important. She's become a symbol of perseverance, of how to rise above noise and politics, and just keep showing up. No matter what they throw at her fouls media narratives, cold teammates, she responds with the same calm focus. Play the game. Help the team keep moving forward. And slowly, that approach is starting to shift the culture. Fans are more vocal, broadcasters are being held accountable. Even opposing players, some of whom were initially critical, are beginning to soften. If only because they see the spotlight isn't going away. Clark's presence has created a new standard, a higher expectation for how the league should treat its stars and handle its growth. What Reggie Miller highlighted is that Caitlin's story is much bigger than a single season. This isn't just about rookie year struggles or media hype, it's about how a league responds when greatness arrives. Wearing the jersey of a newcomer, will it open the door or close ranks? The way Clark has carried herself has shown remarkable leadership. Without ever needing to be loud, she's modeled strength, maturity, and focus. That's the kind of example future rookies will look to when they face their own battles. That's the kind of legacy that inspires change not just on the court, but in boardrooms, broadcasts, and locker rooms. Reggie said it best, "This league has a future because of players like her, but only if it's smart enough to realize it." The clock is ticking, the spotlight is on, and the entire basketball world is watching to see what the WNBA does next. Because Caitlin Clark's legacy is being written in real time, every decision made now will echo long after this season ends. Caitlin Clark didn't ask to be the center of controversy. She earned the spotlight through record-breaking performances and unwavering dedication. But instead of being celebrated, she's been tested in ways no rookie should. From bruising, fouls to media bias, from silent coaches to jealous peers, her journey has exposed deep cracks in the WNBA's culture. Yet through it all, she hasn't flinched. She's taken the hits, absorbed the noise, and kept playing with poise far beyond her years. Reggie Miller's words weren't just a defense of Clark. They were a mirror held up to the league. He exposed the jealousy, the complicity, and the failure to protect rising talent. But he also pointed to something greater, a shift, a chance for the WNBA to evolve, to choose growth over ego, unity over resentment. Caitlin Clark is not just a player, she's a movement, a catalyst, a warning, and a promise. The way the league responds now won't just define her legacy, will define its own. Will they rise with her or fall by resisting the very change she represents? Because one thing is certain, the world is watching, and Caitlin Clark is still just getting started.